Now, before a site can be declared a World Heritage Site, every country or state party for that matter has to develop what is called a nomination dossier around that particular site. But before they do that, they have to list that site into what is called a tentative list. A tentative list is the list that a country has identified that these sites hold outstanding universal value and they have the potential of being inscribed on the World Heritage List. So what this committee is doing, what this meeting is doing, we are discussing the tentative lists in Anglophone Africa today. We are looking at the status of tentative lists, where they have reached. What is the outstanding universal value that that cultural site holds? What is its integrity and its authenticity? And what support the country is giving it. The reason we are doing this is because we want to select a few sites that we want to help the countries to develop the nomination dossier so that we can present to the World Heritage Center to be inscribed on the World Heritage List. So we have inside here, we had sent out questionnaires to all state parties and they had given us information on their tentative lists. So these experts here are going to discuss those lists so that in the end we will select the sites we want to promote for inscription onto the World Heritage List. And these people come from many countries: South Africa, they come from Zambia, they come from Malawi, they come from Nigeria, they come from Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. We have people from Eritrea and Liberia and so on, many countries. Is that considering the number of sites in the world which are on the World Heritage Site, Africa, there are about 1,030 on the World Heritage List. Only about 127 are in Africa. And yet Africa, compared to Europe and other countries, is very rich in heritage. That is one problem. We want to discuss how can we increase the number of heritage sites that have been listed on the World Heritage List. Number two, of the sites that have been listed in Africa, many are on what is called World Heritage in Danger. World Heritage in Danger means the site has been put on the World Heritage List, but it is threatened. Value is being threatened with the destruction because of development. You see, countries are building roads through World Heritage sites. People are mining on World Heritage sites. Once you do that, you adulterate the value, outstanding universal value. So many countries in Africa have their sites on the World Heritage in Danger. We are going to discuss as experts, how can we help, one, to remove them from the site in danger, two, to sensitize our government, state parties, to make sure they protect the sites that have been enlisted on the World Heritage List.
Now, you may not know, but when it comes to UNESCO World Heritage Site, Africa is underrepresented. Most of the sites on World Heritage Sites are European, they are Asian and South American and American. But Kenya and the rest of Africa has very, very few sites. As you know, of 1,000 sites in the World Heritage List, Kenya has only 6. So we are trying to see how we can increase those sites on the World Heritage site. So that's why the National Museums of Kenya, in consultation with Center for Heritage Development in Africa, based here in Fort Jesus, Mombasa, has organized this workshop that has brought close to 15 Africa, English-speaking countries in Africa to deliberate about this problem. There are several problems associated with heritage in Africa. The number one problem is the few resources that African countries give to heritage in development and protection. Kenyans may recall me complaining about Fort Jesus going to the ocean because of the erosion of the sea waves. But I'm very glad that Kenya has shown a lot of interest and has given us 300 million to build a seawall to protect the World Heritage Site. In addition also, Kenya has given Africa World Heritage Center $1 million to promote heritage conservation in Kenya. So Kenya is one among African countries, is on top of African countries in terms of protecting and taking care of its heritage. The other problem Africa World Heritage sites in Africa face is the constant wars, civil wars in different countries, which affect heritage. You know, several sites in Africa are in what we call UNESCO heritage in danger. Because of these wars, they are not able to have good conservation issues. Africa has more sites on a UNESCO World Heritage in danger than the rest of the world because of these problems. The third problem that we have is lack of technical expertise. We have very few Africans who have knowledge and capacity to manage heritage. Again, as I said, Kenya is at the forefront of this initiative because we have started what we call Kenya Heritage Training Institute in Mombasa to train capacity, and we want to extend this capacity to the rest of the East African region and also to the rest of the continent. So these are some of the issues that we're having as Africa, and we think by bringing other Africans to discuss these issues, we will be able to help heritage in Africa, not only in Kenya but the rest of the continent. And this training here, where we have brought about 15 African countries, is to discuss how do we protect African sites of heritage, how do we nominate more, what are some of the problems we're having to make sure that there are many, many more sites in UNESCO World Heritage Site. And Africa World Heritage Fund is one of the funding agencies for this workshop we're having in Kenya today. Yes, I think also that's something else that I forgot to talk about. The infrastructure development in Africa is affecting, may affect Africa Heritage. But as I said in my opening remarks, we don't want to make Africa a zoo where there's no development. We're only keeping whatever we have so that other people can say it is very possible for us to do development and also infrastructure development. Yes, African population is increasing, it needs services. We cannot say, no, we don't need these services. But what we are saying, let us learn from the mistake of others. It is more expensive and painful to learn from your own mistakes. China, for example, developed very fast. Within less than a decade, it became a superpower. But the amount of destruction that they did on their heritage and also the resources they have is enormous. We should learn from China. Develop without destroying our environment and the little resources that we have. It is possible. But we also can't say, because there's heritage here, don't build. Don't build Lamu Port because there's heritage. Why can't you protect the heritage and also build Lamu Port? And I think we as the National Museums of Kenya, that's what we support. That is very possible to mitigate. It's very possible to protect. It's very possible to preserve as well as do big infrastructure projects in this country. So those who are saying you can't have development and heritage at the same time, those are naysayers. We don't listen to them. For Jesus, we have already closed the tender, so we are hoping by the end of February, the contractor should be on the ground to begin building the seawall for the protection of world. And we are very grateful to the government for listening to our cry to try and protect for Jesus as World Heritage Site. We hope this work will be completed within 6 months, so we should. And we're hoping that once that's completed, we can be able to extend the wall all the way to Mamangina Drive, because the highland, as you know, is being chipped away by these waves, not only for Jesus, but there's less. In fact, I can even dare say State House itself is in danger of these rising sea waves, and it needs some protection for it. There may be no Mamangina Drive if we don't take care of, build a protective seawall. And you know, Mamangina is a great recreation area for not only people from Mombasa, but the rest of the Kenya who come to visit the site. So we're hoping this wall will be able to be extended around the whole island, including for the State House as you know it.
Going to cut in and do a little bit more on the cultural standing places which are on the World Heritage List across Africa Heritage List. The emphasis really is on trying to tame the credibility of World Heritage. World Heritage is something really, really special. You don't need, but at the end of this process, when we come up with our revised tentative lists, we really do include places with national importance. So that's what I want to emphasize. So I will start with the formal presentation. Laura will come. So just a little bit of an introduction about the nomination process. Kiliamo, if we could have the next. Out of 5, and in Africa it's 1 out of 3. So there's twice as many cultural sites on the World Heritage List across Africa, which is kind of strange, you know, the outstanding natural attributes across Africa. It's a huge of the natural areas, so you know, the most outstanding national parks. So it's just to take note of the fact that 18 sites are in danger, and a much larger proportion than any other continent are in danger in Africa. This is some old hat, but just to recoup, we're right. This is the process of getting a nomination and getting a site inscribed on the World Heritage List. And these 3 days are going to be critical for all the rest of this whole challenge. So the States Parties decides which properties to include on the tentative list. That's the first part of the process. Part of at the moment. You've got to decide, the States Parties decides which properties on, and then they're managed, and the States Parties are the ones who manage the sites.
Can I just come?
Okay. No, the place was covered with sand.
It is deeper and deeper.
The left hand. So it's like it's facing up. Head, hand, and the place.
Also, this is the head.
Yeah, this is the head. So no, it doesn't go. It just makes a hole. Another crown. So now